Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind podcast, a podcast for estate professionals who earn more, work less, and make a huge difference in their communities. If you get value out of this free content, be sure to check out probatemastery.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and valuable courses. To learn more, visit probatemastery.com. Now let's jump into this week's content.
Welcome to Probate Mastery, our weekly real estate coaching call. I'm Bill Gross. We do this call every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and everything in between or on either side. It's also recorded and put on YouTube. This is the official coaching call that goes along with Probate Mastery. You go to probatemastery.com, probatemastery.com. And if you go there, you can sign up for this call if you want to get reminders. Click on for weekly coaching and just put in your information and you'll get notified when we go live. So you can jump in on the Zoom if you want to participate. Also, there's some free mini classes for opportunity, marketing, and prospecting you should check out. I always say check out the free stuff before you start buying stuff. It's not what the owners want me to say, but that's how I feel. And then also we continue the conversation, hit the free coaching call, and we continue the conversation on Facebook. Oops, I hit the wrong button there. Facebook community. And we have the Estate Professional Mastermind, where if you don't get a chance to ask your questions, you can ask it here, find out about upcoming programs, and participate in the conversations there. Separately, I host probateweekly.com, which is an interview format. I typically interview attorneys and vendors. You can sign up for that at probateweekly.com. Or scroll down and register or subscribe in your favorite audio format. You can see past episodes on YouTube. Love to have you participate there as well. So the purpose of this call is for those of us who are practitioners as real estate agents, brokers, to report our wins, losses, questions, work together, share best practices. I'm a practitioner. I don't have a listing this week. I got one 2 weeks in a row, not last week and not one yet this week. So I have some good leads I'm working on. But I basically list and sell property. That's my business. I also have built a team. I'm building a platform of agents who I'm supporting nationally. I'm looking for agents in different areas as well. If you're interested, reach out to me. But my basic business is working with families, working with attorneys and vendors to get listings of properties I sell. That's what I do. And so if you're in that business, if you joined Probate Mastery, you took the course, or you're in it, you have questions related to that, how to convert that to business, because at the end of the day, this is a business. This isn't entertainment. I imagine you could buy it if you want to find it as entertaining, but from my perspective, this is a business. This is how I make a living. I provide for my family. And it's not a job, it's a business. Many of us in real estate kind of do what a broker tells us to do. We end up being rats on a wheel and wondering why we keep running around, not building long-term equity value and residual or passive income. And so it's really important, I think, as you do this, to think about how you want to build your probate business as a business, not just as a job and not just as a hobby. So if you have a victory, also I should say in this call is Lou. I don't see him on here now, but he's the program leader for this program. If you have questions, you can go into the Facebook group and ask, and he'll set up an appointment to meet with you. And just keep having to allow recording every meeting. Connect Zoom. Tony, I don't have the authority to do that, so I can't help you with that. Mario added, fine. Happy to go to a new platform. Michael Fox, about your new platform. I don't really know about your platform. Do I know your new platform? Have we met before?
I'm sorry. You're with, it was with Robert Clymer, Dave Elkins, Easy Real Estate Platform.
I don't know what that is. So I don't know. I really want to. This is the right format. We can talk offline sometime. I'd be glad to take a look at it and see if it is appropriate. Okay. So questions, victories, losses. I think, Tracy, you had one you were telling us about. This is my favorite category, which is Bill was right. So if you have any stories or points of view that confirm that, you go to the head of the line. Now, if it's Bill was wrong, we might not have time for you today. So Tracy, please tell us all. No, I'm just teasing. Tell us about your victory here. What's going on for you?
Hi, yes, I've been working with a seller for a good almost 6 months now, patiently encouraging him to get the house ready and vacant. He's had this house from his aunt, inherited it from his aunt about 3 years ago. I've been checking in with him about every other week to see his progress. I finally texted him after our last meeting a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, and said, hey, checking in to see how you're doing on your progress. He sent me 5 pictures to show that he had 90% of the house ready to go, and he's been checking things off the list. This is the biggest progress I've received from him since working with him for almost 6 months. And he's getting, when I saw the pictures, I encouraged him saying, you're making awesome progress. He felt so encouraged. So I said, if we can get your property on the market by July 4th, we got a big weekend up here in the area as a motivator. He said, oh man, I'm excited. Okay, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So the point, I guess, in sharing this, I shared about this, and you said, just wait, give him some space, and I'm happy that it worked.
So congratulations. I think that a couple things I want to talk about. One is, as realtors, we want customers to act on our schedule, but it's on their schedule. Our job is to be available to support their schedule. Now, we might give them information to help them adjust their schedule, like July 4th is a big weekend in our market, which is great. And I think that's our job, is to always give them new opportunities to re-choose. One of the things about prospective sellers I know, I forget the term for it, a mathematical formula where if you take, the remainder, let's say 95%, the remainder is 5, and cut it in half, and again in half and a half, you'll get closer, but you'll never reach the number, right? So if you're 95% and you solve half the problem, you're at 97.5%. If you solve half of what's remaining, you're at 98.5%, and you continue. And so I think there's certain people who just will go on forever until we find the right stepping stone for them to get across the creek, right? And so you tried one, and maybe that works, maybe it doesn't. And I think you should want to keep coming back with not closes. To me, that sounds artificial. But stepping stones. Hey, I know you did this much work. If you're like, I'll go by and take some photos, and I can show some investors I know who might be interested. And what I know about anybody who procrastinates is that, if you get the right next step, then they're in motion. But you got to get the right next step. Otherwise, they'll just procrastinate forever. And so
Exactly.
I deal with this all the time in probate. I have a case where I literally, so when was pre-COVID? I guess it was 2019. August, I was in Dallas and I got this lead, and she still is not ready to really do what I had suggested. We have a hearing tomorrow, hopefully, and we'll maybe be able to move forward, maybe not. But my point is, I don't want to give up on those leads, but I'll call her every 30 days. So let me ask you a question, Tracy. Number one, what's the next possible stepping stone to help this person get across the creek? You said the July 4th sale. They said they get back to you, which is a nice way of saying no, right? Or not yet. So what's the next step you might do that might help them? Or is there one?
Oh, that's a good question. I have no idea, come to think of it.
Is the house vacant? Must be.
It will be, essentially, except for his bed and a desk that he set up, because he's living there temporarily in the process.
So if you sold the property, where would you go?
He'll move back. He'll go back home in another state, wherever he's from.
Does he want to go there?
What do you mean?
Well, does he want to go to the other state, wherever he's from? Maybe he doesn't want to go.
Oh, I see what you mean.
What state are you in, Tracy?
I'm in California.
What state is he in?
He is Missouri, I think he's from.
Maybe he likes California better.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I don't know. So you get to see, you can find the next step. Next thing is, I don't believe there's a follow-up system for this guy. I think you have to have a follow-up system for everybody, which is engaging them in your business and your real estate information. That's why I encourage all agents, my team, to have like a weekly email, maybe also a video format of it, posting your social media. Make sure your prospects are connected to your email. Make sure they're connected to social media, and let that be your follow-up system.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's good. You're right. I got to think ahead. I was so busy trying to get there.
Well, ideally, you have 30 or 40 people like this, and if they all take 30 or 40 months, then you have one a month coming into your system.
Okay.
Right? If these guys take 30, 40 months, and you only have one, that means you're going to do one deal every 30 or 40 months.
Right. Yeah, really.
If you have 10, it's once every 3 months. If you have 30 or 40, then you have one every month. So it's just a numbers game at some point.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm learning that. So that's why I try to be here every week with you.
Thanks, Tracy. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay. So that's a great victory and lesson learned. I'm sorry I'm chewing on a cough drop. I had a cold, got over it. It's Sunday, then I went to an event and yelled and screamed for about 4 hours straight. So I lost my voice again. So I'm healthy, but unfortunately my voice is really scratchy. So thanks for tolerating that. Questions, victories. Reen's doing a great job on his social media. I got to say, you have, I think it's called Probate Help Desk.
Yes.
It looks to me like you have consumers, families from various places coming in almost every day. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, it is. So right now we are getting about four people a day. In the beginning, a lot of them were real estate agents. We welcomed in real estate agents to build the network, and so that we can all learn together, similar to what you're doing here. And now we've kind of shifted the scale a little bit, and we're getting a lot of families that are coming in looking for help. And so about 4 or 5 a day. One piece of advice will give you another. You're right, Bill.
Oh, I love those.
I think the first
Hold
time
on,
I
let me get
talked,
ready for that one. Go ahead.
yeah, are you recording? The first time we talked, one of the things you pointed out very quickly was that I was not capturing email addresses for my mailing list. And so one of the very first things I did is I went back and I changed the group question so that I could capture email addresses. And I still let people in even if they don't give me their email address, but I'm adding at least two email addresses to my list of families every single week now. Or not week, every day I'm adding at least a couple of families to that email list, which is great. So that's good. And then the YouTube videos, I will just let everybody know, if you go out and watch my videos, I did a couple of long form videos, and then Bill mentioned that it was probably taking a little bit longer than it should to get some of that stuff out there. So what I did is I went to a tool called Opus Clips. I took my long form videos and I broke them down into shorts. And just within about a week, I've managed to put almost 30 shorts out there, and I have another 20 in the queue. And the quality is not good. It's just not. But I'm still getting. Man, I think last week I had something like 6,000 impressions or something like that on Facebook, and on YouTube I'm up to like 3,000 views. So I'm getting a lot of activity. Next step would be to improve the quality of those things. So yeah, we're generating traffic now, and now I'm working on my follow-up systems that you were just talking about. And on my Facebook group, Bill, we're doing our very first webinar tomorrow night. I know I mentioned to you that my focus is on personal representatives and families. I did not promote this webinar anyplace outside of the Facebook group. I think we've got about 30 people who are interested in attending. A lot of them are real estate agents. And once we get the format, probably 1 or 2 weeks, we'll get the format down. And then I'm planning to shift my focus to Minnesota and start inviting attorneys and families to attend those webinars on how to sell a probate home. So anyone who would like to attend tomorrow is welcome. The focus is really for families, personal representatives, but I welcome anybody that wants to come learn and provide some feedback.
Excellent. Good job. I know this thing is really starting to grow. One suggestion for you and for everybody on YouTube, what you've done proper is you create a playlist and you put your longer form into one called, it was like Probate 101, which is great. Make sure you save the playlist, not a video. When people want to see you can sort them in order, newest to oldest, and then you can save the playlist and then share that. And that way somebody goes to your videos, will start with one, and then if they like it, they'll go through a couple and binge watch a couple. I think you did a beautiful job. I like the thumbnails, and I think you did a really good job. Obviously, it's a work in progress, and
Very much so.
continue to improve it. But congratulations on a great start. And anybody who wants to support that, go there to his website, Probate Help Desk. Good job,
And
man.
Bill, I would say, before you and I started talking, I did have some of the analysis paralysis, and I'm really shifting my focus now into just generating content and putting things out there, and then improving as I go. And so that it's still, like tomorrow night, I wouldn't say I'm ready for my webinar, but I'm doing it anyway.
There you go. It's in the calendar, and so you got to show up and do something,
Right.
play or stream or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, to anybody on the call, I really recommend that you set up something weekly. Probably Weekly started where my coach challenged me to do a video a day for 30 days. And I did some shorts, and it doesn't matter what you do. It's just going to be bad. And it was. So then I said, well, I think I'll do a webinar on probate. So I scheduled Probate Weekly. And the thing is, it's in your calendar. You're kind of forced to show up. And then once you're done recording it, it's done. And I thought, well, that was actually easier than the pain of writing something and then recording it and stopping and starting and stopping, redo it. All the lights wrong. The phone goes off. If you have it scheduled, you're going to do it. It doesn't really matter. There's no stop. So I've had, weekly webinars where the phone rings, the lights went out, my microphone wasn't working. I've made every mistake, but I just kept pushing forward. And by doing that, you get better at it. And I think more important than you get better, people appreciate it more, people value it more. And it doesn't mean everybody does, but the people you're looking for will. So congratulations, Reem. You're really doing a great job. And I'm really excited to be working with you on this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your help. And you guys just, I highly recommend taking Bill's advice. Some of it's uncomfortable, but it works.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much. Yeah, I like that uncomfortable part. Comfortable is not going to get you where you want to go in life. Unless you want to be comfortable, the ultimate comfort's death. So, okay. Gilbert. That's a mouthful, your ID there. Asks, what's the best dialer that lets you text and call at the same time? Anybody here who uses a dialer program, feel free to jump into the chat box with an answer. I don't use one anymore. I've stopped using it. I don't think people appreciate it. I don't want to be a cold caller. I think most people on this call are realtors who have a business and they have a database they should be calling, and they don't want to call it. They rather use a dialer and cold call. That's a mistake. And so I really encourage agents to really focus in. But if your goal is cold calling, I think, I know Bruce does, training on cold calling. You might want to check that out on the Facebook group. And again, anybody on the call, Matt says you used to use Red X. I use Red X as well. I use all of them. I've used Red X. I use sales dialers. I've used a number of them, but I don't use them anymore. Okay, good. Hope we can help. Gilbert, I don't know. I'm sorry to name it. I'm not sure what to pronounce all that. So, but thank you for the question. Okay, other questions, comments? Who's got a victory?
I got sort of a victory, Bill.
Good. I'll take a sort of.
So, I'm an auctioneer and a real estate broker as well.
No,
and
you never mentioned that. You never mentioned that you're an auctioneer as well.
Yes, I am. So I went to go look at this estate. The brother passed away and he still had the house. And he was telling me the story and everything. And he wanted me to sell the entire contents of the house. And I said, okay, because I figured he was going to get rid of all of his brother's stuff and move in his stuff. Well, I drove home and I was like, well, wait a minute. He didn't say a word about moving in his stuff. So I asked him, and he says, well, I'm going to have to move and then move into a senior living facility. And I said, well, how are you planning on selling the house? And he says, well, if I was able to sell everything in the house using an online tag sale, he says, I was just going to have you sell the house. We didn't even talk about it. So that was one of the wins that I had for the week.
So I think what you illustrate, and I'm not surprised, because you come across as confident, come across as competent, and that's a goal for everybody on the call. Stop spending so much time looking for the right partners and spend more time being the right partner. Because when you are the right partner, people will just say, well, can you sell it for me? Right? I had a phone call this morning from a long time, long time, I guess kind of peripheral social friend. I mean, we never did anything really together in the last 10 years. But he called me asking questions about his property, and I thought it was worth based on where it is and such. And he said, well, can you sell it for me? Right? That was my listing presentation was yes. And I have to get phone calls from agents on these calls for my pre-listing package or my presentation package. I don't have anything. I have nothing. The most I've done, kind of like Matthew, I have conversations. I'll talk on the phone and I'll just send an e-sign contract with a CMA. I do a good job with an estimated net sheet, with the data, but I don't really have any fancy marketing material. I think that the goal of this program is to be so good, people want to work with you rather than just you being able to cold call and be one of 5 or 6 people at a beauty pageant to present. So congratulations, Matthew. Good job. And of course, if they're trusting, look at how this works for him. They talked to him about selling, let's think of the house. I don't know what it was worth, $400,000, and the stuff in the house is worth $10,000. But if they're going to trust you with the $10,000 stuff, you've auditioned for the job of the $400,000 house. If they know you like being trusted, appreciate how you work for that, then of course you do the house. And same with anything that's for free. So there you go. Good job, man. Okay, saw you've been patient. Let me get you unmuted. And you got your hand up. I don't know if you can start your video or not. And I see your hand up, and I've asked you to mute, but you got to unmute in order to come in. And so
There we go.
There you
How's
go.
that?
What's up? Good.
Hey, so I might have maybe a win. It depends on how you see it. I see it as a win. I've been I haven't really been putting a whole lot of effort into getting my videos on what to expect during probate on YouTube. So that's in the works. So good motivation listening to you guys. However, yesterday, late in the day, just got a random call from somebody in one of the networking groups I belong to, which is called SANS, Senior Action Network. So it's a group where we literally dedicate resources and network for helping seniors living and anything senior, right? Yesterday I got that phone call and said their presenter, who was doing a topic on real estate, which I happen to be a real estate agent, had dropped out last minute. They wanted somebody to fill in the spot for a certain topic. And I told them, well, that's not my forte, because they wanted me to, it doesn't matter. That's not my forte. I said, I am a probate expert. And then ding, I heard a silence, and I said, well, can you talk about that? So my answer was yes, I can definitely talk about probate. Long story short here, I did that presentation this morning. I had no preparation whatsoever. It's just the knowledge that I've learned from you, Bill, and just working with probates. And I basically read a checklist off, told stories about what to expect and experiences I've had. Evidently, it was a hit to me. I was just reading off the paper, but I guess it was very informative. I gave my phone number out in case anybody wanted that checklist. I got text asking for that checklist. I got questions, and people were asking me about probate. So I am the probate expert. Thank you, Bill.
Sure, Saul. And so remind me, where do you sell real estate?
In Washington State, Thurston County to be exact.
Very nice. Yeah, again, and I appreciate the update. For those of you who ever saw the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio, true story about a guy who, among other things, impersonated being a high school substitute teacher. I think it was history. And but he was in high school himself, or high school age himself. And they asked him, how did he pass off impersonating a teacher? And he said, well, if you're just one chapter ahead of the class, to them, you're the teacher.
Mhm.
And I think that's the right answer. So when they ask you is yes, that you can always study and learn what you need to talk about. You should be available to talk. If you really believe in your subject, you should be ready to talk about it any time. And the other thing I would echo that you just said was, it's really important. People love stories. It doesn't have to be your story. The beautiful thing is you can come on this show and listen to somebody else tell a story and then retell the story. They just love stories. It gets the point across. So congratulations.
Mhm.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
For all those on the call, this is the Probate Mastery coaching call. We do this every week, every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. If you're on the call on the Zoom, feel free to put your contact info in. I see Mark Pedroza says hi. But let's get your contact info for somebody who may have a referral or look for an attorney in your area. Feel free to share that information so we can do some business together. On this call, we share victories and losses and lessons learned, questions. So there you go. I think about today with all the questions. Who else has a question, comment? See some new faces. Welcome to the new faces.
So Bill,
Hey, Bill. See your hand up.
A quick question for you. I'm covering the mortgage payments and repairs for a particular seller. Everything that I've done thus far, I've annotated it in a listing agreement addendum, which they've signed. Do you know of any other documents that could be used in addition to that to support it?
To support, as in to solidify your getting reimbursed once you sell the house?
I'm sorry?
What would you need an additional document to do? What purpose?
Just to protect me getting paid at closing?
You know, personally, I would say that you need to communicate the dollar amount and their approval, get it confirmed. I don't think there's anything that will protect you if they are dishonest. And that said, if they're honest, you're going to get paid back. You better check that out. So if you're concerned about it, that might be a checkup. Now, I will also say sometimes losing money to dishonest people is part of the marketing expenses. So don't get too victim about it. Don't let it get you off track from your business. Again, this is a business we're running. It's not a job. It's not a hobby. And the goal is to build a business and make a profit for your time. But other than clearly getting the customer what the dollar amount is, what it's for, and getting their approval and having an at least electronic record of that, I don't think there's any particular form that's going to protect you. Now, once you open escrow, I get that to escrow as quick as I can, because then they'll send out on their forms, and then that will solidify me getting paid back to the close of escrow. But after that, there's no real guarantee. Truth is, if you advance the money and don't get paid back through the sale, you theoretically could put it, if you're, Bill, where do you sell real estate? What state?
Southeast Michigan.
Okay, I don't know Michigan law. In California, you could submit your, claim to the court, through the probate, to get repaid through the probate if the seller refused to pay you. But you don't really want to do that. So I would say get the invoice to your, in your case, title company or closing attorney as quick as you can once you open escrow. But short of getting them to agree and being clear what it is, I don't have anything in particular I think it's going to protect you or guarantee. I don't think there is a guarantee.
Yeah. Now, the title companies, obviously, it's one I've used over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So when I pulled title history just to open the file, I notified them that there would be expenses that would be paid out at closing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know they won't complete it until a check is written, but I'm just trying to cover all my bases.
Yeah, I would just say once you actually open escrow, send them the invoices, and then at least in our case, they send out instructions. Seller agrees to these deductions, and once it's approved, there you're pretty much going to get paid.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure, my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Reen, I see your hand back up. Let's bring
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. One of the things that I do in my agreements, my listing agreements in a case like that, is I add a cancellation fee and again, I know it's not 100% guarantee, but I put that in there so that the personal representative has the expectation of paying me for any expenses I incurred, even if they don't sell the house with me, because like you said, they could change their mind or go with a cash buyer. A lot of things could happen, but ever since I've been putting the cancellation fee in there, most of the I have not had a family cancel since I've done that. It seems like they realize it's an investment, but it makes me sleep better at night having it in there.
You're on mute, Bill.
Sorry, thank you. Just testing, you guys seem to be paying attention. I keep muting myself because I'm coughing a little bit. I've advanced money, particularly when the attorneys on my side are going to back me up. Ones I didn't trust, I make them get a probate advance and pay for the expenses out of their own pocket. And yeah, there's a premium for them, but if they're not trustworthy, that's the penalty you pay in life for not being trustworthy, I guess. So just depends on the case, but that's another option. But again, I think at the end of the day, you want to document it, follow up, get it to escrow or title or however you handle that, attorneys. Thanks, Reen. Thanks for jumping on that.
Quick question. How much is the cancellation that you charge?
So usually what I do is I look at, as Bill mentioned, I also like to have the family pay upcoming expenses out of their own pocket. But if someone from my team is going to be involved sorting personal property or cleaning, doing any of those kinds of things, then I just take their hourly rate. I figure out what the fair market value would be, and then I make that the cancellation fee. So typically it's anywhere around $3,000 to $5,000.
And you're talking about like a full clean out situation and
right, where someone's actually where I had to pay my staff to actually come in and do some work.
Yeah, it's a full business. Good, thanks. I'm sure it varies based on who you are and where you are and what you're doing, obviously. So, okay, so Matthew and Mark, but their contact info great. Emily, I have a lot of experience with people selling the family home without a death in the family, selling dad's home or his own home to go into a nursing home. Should I focus on the senior aspect or the probate aspect? I have a lot of very content on YouTube and need to narrow down. Emily, I don't know if you're available to chat about it. I'd be glad to unmute you and bring you in. We can go a little more detailed, but
sure. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to put your camera on, come in live or not. There's a common question, which is, how broad or narrow is my niche, right? And I think that you have to think about what's the purpose of the niche. The purpose of the niche is to define your target and to establish your expertise in the area. So I think it'd be hard to be an expert both in probate and senior living. I personally, I think, and it sounds like you have a lot of experience with people in senior living, family homes, nursing homes and such. I think if that's something I had experienced and enjoyed, I would focus on that. And if I enjoyed and had experience in probate, I would focus on that. I would pick the one that you have experience in.
I know.
Emily, where do you sell houses? Emily, where do you sell? Okay, I think she jumped off. Okay. Thank you for the suggestion. You're welcome. Okay. Yeah, I think for all of us, the challenge is picking that niche and making sure that it's broad enough to have enough business and narrow enough to develop expertise. And I just think that, I actually encourage people to pick a micro niche. Within probate is a narrower niche for families moving into senior housing. And I think rather than being a probate expert, I would focus on being senior housing, transitional housing, whatever the market that you're in, because they need help there too. And it's a different series of help. Now, sometimes they move before and then there's a probate after, and you plant that seed. Sometimes they move and you help them avoid probate by doing an estate plan so that they don't need it, but you're the one who helped them. And when it comes time to sell the property through the estate, you're the resource to do that for them. So I think at the end of the day, Emily, it's really about, and for all of us, it's really about how do we create the most value for prospective customers and work in that space and constantly give value. And as a result of the value you create, you get business back. Okay. I think my voice is going to last long enough for this call. Who else has a question, comment, problem, challenge? Are there any Bill was wrongs today? I'm open to it. I'm just kidding. You got to have fun with this.
So, Bill, I have a question for you. And
I was just
sometimes
kidding, Matthew. I was just kidding. I don't want any Bill was wrongs. I can't handle it.
Well,
My ego's
Bill,
too
you're not
fragile.
wrong yet.
Oh, okay, good.
So, when we go do cleanouts and whatnot, of course, I have a small staff to do that. But in some cases, some of these things are humongous. So, do you bring in contractors to do those, to do the stuff, and do you negotiate with them in order to get paid at closing, or do you have to pay a deposit, or how does that? Because I've never done that before. I've always had a small group.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think everyone's different. I've given the customer vendors. I've picked a vendor. I've advanced funds. I've used the customer's funds to pay for it. So I've done it every way. I don't think I have any. I think my strength is I try to analyze the situation and customize a solution. I've never had any staff to do it. So that's one thing I've not done. I don't have any employees. The one thing I will not do is hire an employee. I'm in California. So we have a whole series of laws and problems and such that's different than everywhere else. But I would say I've done it every which way. And there's pluses and minuses on all of them. I've advanced it. I've advanced a probate $20,000. My commission was $25,000. But it was an attorney who gave me probably about $100,000 of commissions in the next 6 months or so. So that was kind of what I was banking on to get the additional business. I continue to work with them. So I think you have to, again, I'm a businessman. I have a line of credit I use just for this. I have a PayPal account I use just for this. I look at my return on my investment, and I have got plenty of money to make that decision with. And if I didn't, I'd find somebody who would lend me the money if I need to. So I hope that helps. Okay. Would be nice for somebody else to do all on their own, of course, but I think the more we do for customers, the more committed they are to us. And so I'm always looking for opportunities to do stuff. Now, I will say when I say I do things, odds are I don't do anything. Like I even hang pictures of my house. I have a son-in-law who does that for me. So I have virtual assistants. I use TaskRabbit a lot, Handyman. I have a whole Rolodex. And so when somebody says, can I clean out the property? Can I accept an estate sale? Can I? Yes, yes, and yes. I don't really do any of it other than I just initiate it. Okay, Emily had to go. No problem, happens. Other questions, comments? We can wrap up early if you guys want to. I don't know what your plans are. But I'm busy. We're going to do our call next week, July 2nd, the week of July 4th. But I'll be here next week. Where in California are you? I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in West LA. The West Side is the best side. In fact, you saw the news the other day, a Palestinian protest in the Jewish community. That's right. That's 2 blocks from where I live. I was right in the middle of that on Sunday. That's why my voice is out. I was sharing my point of view with the protesters.
Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Question, how do you approach to the seller to purchase directly from them instead of listing them?
Well, so that would be as an investor. So just first off, I would say this call, the focus here is more for real estate agents. I'm an investor, and by virtue of the real estate deals I look at, I'm an investor right now on a fantastic deal. I'm gonna make a fortune on. I'm gonna invest $100,000 and make at least $300,000 on in about 6 months. So I'm an investor too, but I don't solicit as an investor. I solicit as a realtor. So to ask your question, if they have to go to probate, in some states, that's cumbersome. In some states, it's easy. Where it's cumbersome, that's where I would do business, because if you can figure out how to solve that for people. If I was an investor and somebody said, well, I'd love to sell to you, but I have to go through probate, I would say, great, let me help you with that. Because if they don't think they can sell because of probate and you can help them through probate, you're the one they're going to work with. So I don't know if that answers your question directly. Is it Gilbert?
Just call it Gilbert. That's fine.
Gilbert, where do you invest?
I'm in California, LA area.
Maybe we should talk offline. Maybe I can give you some other ideas and suggestions. I work with investors. I'm literally going to court to represent an investor in 2 weeks. So maybe I can help you with something.
Sounds good. But one thing, did you charge a client if you offer them like as an investor? It doesn't matter, it's my fund or different fund. I charge a client as a agent and also charge the investor that I have want to get into the deal, charge them too. Is that okay or is not okay? You know, like it's how you do it. You know, I'm not saying it's okay or it's not okay. How you approach usually.
Well, when you say usually, I mean, 90% of my business, I'm listing houses for sale for families or attorneys. That's my basic core business. Now, sometimes along the way, I find a property that I think an investor would want to buy. And I work with a lot of investors and I'll call them and say, hey, I found this deal. And if we package it, here's how I want to package it. I'm gonna not charge the seller, but I want to charge you a buyer's premium commission, but it's built into your price. So you tell me what price you would pay and I'll work those numbers out. So every deal is different. If it's not on the market, generally my experience is sellers off the market don't want to pay a commission. So if I'm not approaching them as an agent, right? If that doesn't come to me as a real estate agent, then I don't have to represent them. And so I'll typically charge investor and they just have to buy at a price that makes sense. But again, every deal is different. So I'm not sure I know exactly how to give an answer that covers everything. But I will say, when I've had properties off market that I found that I wasn't soliciting to list, and I present it to an investor, generally I would bring it to the investor and say, build into your price my commission of X percent. I've charged 5%. I found a deal that was so good. It was so good that I said, this one I want to get paid 5% on, but just adjust your price accordingly. And he did, and we bought it, and I made really good money on it. So they're all a little different. I hope that answers your question. I see Alexi, you got your hand up. Let's get you unmuted and bring you in.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Alexi, what's up?
So I had a question about what you said earlier about ancillary services, and you were saying, I think I understood correctly, that you were saying pretty much if a seller asks you if you do something like cleanouts or whatever, you say yes, and then you just hire it out. Are you the one paying that bill, or are you just having the seller pay it?
So again, I mean, it varies based on every deal. I mean, I think that there are people who really want everything to be the same every time. Maybe they're doing a higher volume I am. I don't know. But in my business, I'm getting paid, an average commission of, I don't know, $15,000. So I can afford to customize my solution to a customer. I don't do that many deals. I'll do about 25 a year to a month. So when I look at the deal, I can make a decision. Do I want to bill them? Do I want to advance the funds? Depends on the customer, depends on the attorney, depends on the case. I've done it both ways. I've done plenty where I've advanced money. I have right now invested, I should say advanced out about $5,000 of total expense money. I track it. And I did plenty where they pay for it and they're glad to pay for it. So it just depends.
Okay. So what would be a scenario where it would make sense for you to cover the costs instead of the seller?
Like the most recent one I did was the heir is indigent. They have no money. They have nothing. But a really good attorney. And I know he'll back me up and support me as long as it's reasonable. He won't let me rip off the customer, but he'll support me. He wants me to get the job done. And we could advance the money, but and sometimes we do that, or I just pay for myself. And I try not to be, the advance I only want to do when the customer needs it.
Right.
So I had a case where there had a property and we had to clean out, junk out, estate sale, but the estate sale would pay for a lot of that. So I advanced somebody to get the ball started, and then the estate sale generated revenue that paid for the rest of the expenses. So I don't know really how to answer your question other than I just try to use my business judgment. I've never been burned. even if I was burned, that's sometimes an expense of doing business. So I wouldn't take it too hard, but typical case would be the error is indigent. I've had customers who are on welfare, but they're going to get a $5,000 house. They don't have a credit card. And for some of us, it's hard to imagine that, but that's there. I enjoy helping those people. I feel proud of myself helping those people. But obviously that's the most common case where it's the customer has no money and the attorney is 100% supportive.
Okay, when you say it does. When you say the attorney is supportive, why is that important to you?
Because the attorney is going to say to me, "Hey, you're just ripping off my customer. You're double dipping. You're charging for this." I really, Alexa, I'm a little older than you. I probably could be your father. I'm done arguing with people in my life. I'm 65 years old. You want my help? Great. You don't? Next. I'm busy. And so I think that there are attorneys who will argue with me about things, but I'm not going to advance money and have them debate about whether it's fair for me to get paid back or not. I don't charge interest. I mean, I even use a credit line, to be honest. And you might say, well, gee, Bill, that's kind of whippy of you. I have a credit line just for this purpose and a credit card. So that I might be carrying $5,000, might be like $50 a month interest expense I'm paying for 6 months. You might say, well, Bill, you're paying $300 in interest. I don't really care. I mean, it's expensive doing business. I mean, I don't want to throw the money away, but it's good business for me. So, but if the attorney is going to, if the attorney is a regular attorney who does business with me, he does regular probate business. He can refer me. He's referred me another lead or two already. Yeah, I just want to keep the machine moving. I don't want to slow it down.
Okay. How could an attorney block you from doing what you want to do?
Well, customer, well, that wasn't a good expense on your part. Why did you pay to have a junkout company? They charged $3,000. You could have hired people at Home Depot for $500 and got it done. And
Okay.
I would say to the attorney, well, you can hire people at Home Depot if you want to. I'm not going to go down there on a Sunday and corral up 3 guys and put them in a truck and drive.
Right.
And by the way, the dump charges money. I mean, I'm not going to argue with somebody about it. They're people in that business. They make a fair profit and I use them.
Right.
And if you want to question it, go ahead on your own money. But if I'm doing it, I don't want to really argue the point.
Okay. So when you're making that business decision, obviously because you're taking a risk, you're going to want to be paid some kind of profit, some kind of premium for that risk.
No,
I
don't. I mean, again, you might say I should, but in many cases, like I said, I just write off the interest. I don't look at that as, and other people do. There's people on this call who that is their business, right? The people on this call who their primary business is auctions or cleanouts or estate sales, and real estate to them is a secondary. I make good money on the house, so
okay.
I don't mail out postcards. Instead, I might write off $300 worth of interest to a customer where I'm getting a $20,000 check. I look at that as part of my marketing expense.
Okay. Makes sense.
And I'm not saying I'm right, anybody else is wrong. I'm just saying that's how it works for my business. You need to do what works for your business.
Right.
I need to do what works for my business.
Okay. So it's essentially you're using that as a way to get the business, and that's a business decision that you make.
And just to keep it moving. I mean, part of it is just to keep the deal going. I'll pay to have documents delivered. I'll pay to have somebody. I got a client who's, on welfare in San Antonio, who spends half the day drunk. But I'd pay somebody to go to his house at 10 in the morning and get documents notarized. It cost me like $150 between the notary, the FedExes and all that. But you know what? It got the deal done and closed and we got paid. So part of it is just to keep the machine moving.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Alex, where do you sell houses?
I'm in the Tampa, Florida area.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, thanks. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, thank you.
Feel free to your contact info in the box. Emily, I see your hand up. If you want to.
Yeah, sorry about that. My broker called at the worst time, but you don't dare ignore him. So my what I'm trying to figure out in my mind is, should I focus more, since I have more experience in the senior stuff, and I'm also a nurse, so I know like like one guy, I sat him down and I said, you're wanting to put your mother in assisted living. Here's the questions you should ask of each facility. Should I focus on that and have a probate as, oh, by the way, rather than trying to like almost like reinvent and be this probate person where it seems like I already have this senior part there.
Yeah. Emily, where do you sell houses?
Wisconsin.
You should check out the probate nurse, Melanie Hands. She has a YouTube channel. She's on my team. She's focused in on in the nursing home industry. There's like regional companies have, you know, multiple bed facilities. They have multiple facilities.
Right.
So she's working on marketing to them as a way to generate a flow of referrals rather than just one. I think it makes a lot of sense. I would talk to her about how she's packaged herself.
Okay. So is that a YouTube channel? I mean, like, do I, does she have content that I can look at or?
Yeah. Let me see if I pull up real fast. Here we go. The probate nurse.
Okay.
It's at the probate nurse on YouTube.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put it in the chat box for everybody here to see.
Sure.
Great gal.
Okay.
She's done this called numerous times. She's in Tampa, Florida. She was a nurse and she kind of had the same kind of hang up you had. And I think rather than invent a new area that you're an expert, why not leverage what you already have? And so she put that into marketing, and then she goes to trade shows. And I think that opens up some different marketing angles that I don't have available because she's a specialist in this area. And if you have that experience, and I think nurses relate to nurses, they respect that industry. So I think that's a unique opportunity for you.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. And Queenie put in her IG. I put in the YouTube. I guess I'm showing my age. Thank you, Queenie. Thank you so much for the help. Let's see, where else are we here? I have Mark Pedroza answered the question. I didn't see answer asked, but okay. Yeah, so Mark says is a good point. Mark says the attorney represents the personal representative and he's looking out for the best interest. I would say yes, but I also would say that, like many, in my experience, too many attorneys are too anxious to help and not really create value for the customer. They want to look at the contracts and make some suggestions that are really, in my mind, meaningless, and they're going to charge the customer the time to review it. Particularly in California, where forms are so well thought out, so well detailed. Unless you're writing something custom, I don't think there's any purpose for that. Same's true with expenses. I think sometimes attorneys are going to tell the customer, "Oh, and make sure you negotiate the realtor's commission." Yeah, well, make sure you look at the attorney's commission, because in my experience, 90% of customers feel the attorney wasn't worth the fees they charged. I don't get that experience from my customers typically. So, and I think the key is always to give your customers more than they expect, and then they'll be happy. But that's a good point, Mark. Always remember the attorney's job is to look out for the customer as well as ours. Okay, coming up on the hour, last questions, comments, problems, challenges, victories. Any more Bill Woods rights? We love those. No. I'll do the wrap up and then somebody will ask a question. It always happens that way. So, where am I here? Here we go. Let's get the page. Why is this not screen 2? There we go. Okay, Probate Mastery. This is the Probate Mastery call. We do this every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And every time either end or on the side. Some great free content. If you're new to the channel, check it out. Continue the conversation with the Facebook community. And that will take you to the Estate Professionals Mastermind. 7,600 members. Love to have if you have questions you can get a chance to ask or continue the conversation there. This call is the free weekly coaching call. You're welcome to sign up for it. Just click on it, bring your information. You'll get reminders. We put it on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Zoom. If you register, you can come in on the Zoom call and ask questions live and get some free coaching in person. And then if you want to see more about getting certified in Enroll in Probate Mastery. Here's the details for that. And separately, I host a program called Probate Weekly every Thursday, 4 p.m. You can sign up for that, probateweekly.com. It's interview format. I interview attorneys, vendors. It's free. Put your email address in, you'll get notified. And then if you want to check it out in audio or past episodes on YouTube, you can do that as well. So let's see, chat box. I think we're up to date there. I don't see any questions. So I think we'll call it a wrap. We will have our call next week, July 2nd. And if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me. I'm at Bill Gross Probate on social media. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week. We'll talk soon. Thanks for all who participated, by the way. Matthew, thank you. And Emily, thank you. Oh, gosh, I missed all this. I should be taking notes. But all you guys who jumped in with good questions, thank you so much for participating. This is our call. So the more you participate, the more value you create for everybody. Thank you, everybody.